Tell me if this sounds familiar. You wake up in the morning and the house feels too quiet. Not the kind of quiet that soothes you, like the hush of a library or the peace of a gentle snowfall. No, this is a heavier kind of quiet. The kind that presses against your chest. The kind that makes you aware of just how long the day ahead of you might be. You notice little things you never used to. How the clock ticks louder when no one else is talking. How the refrigerator hum feels like company when there's nobody around. How the morning sunlight pours across an empty chair at the kitchen table and reminds you that once upon a time, that seat was filled. It wasn't always like this, was it? There was a time when life was loud, when the phone rang constantly, when kids raced down the hallway with backpacks flying open, when work emails piled up so fast you barely had time to breathe, when dinner had to be on the table by 6 because someone was always waiting, hungry, depending on you. Back then, it felt like the world couldn't spin without you. Your presence mattered. Your absence was noticed. You were stitched into the fabric of other people's lives so tightly that sometimes you even longed for a little silence. And now the silence stretches out like an ocean. Maybe the phone doesn't ring the way it used to. Maybe the calendar that was once bursting with appointments, meetings, and obligations now sits mostly empty. Just a doctor's visit here, a birthday reminder there. Maybe the days blur together, and you catch yourself asking, is it Tuesday or Friday? Does it even matter? And here's the part no one really says out loud. Sometimes, you wonder if you've faded into the background of life. Like a photograph left too long in the sun, still there, still visible, but dimmer, less defined. Do you ever feel that way? Like the world has kept moving, kept rushing forward while you stayed still, as though your once crucial role, the parent, the worker, the neighbor everyone relied on, has quietly dissolved into something smaller, quieter, almost invisible. Maybe you've even whispered to yourself late at night, when the house is dark and your thoughts are loud. Is this it? Is this what the rest of my life looks like? A long stretch of quiet mornings, quiet afternoons, quiet evenings, until one day they all just end? If those thoughts sound uncomfortably familiar, if they sting because they're too close to the truth, then I want you to hear me right now. Because you are not alone in them, and because there is a way through them. You see, the story isn't over just because the first chapters have been written. You're not at the end of the book. You're simply standing at the start of a new one. And the pages of this chapter, they're waiting to be filled with connection, purpose, and meaning you might have thought were gone forever. The way to begin isn't complicated. It doesn't require you to be younger, stronger, or richer. It doesn't demand you reinvent yourself into someone you're not. It's simpler, more profound, more life-giving. It's volunteering. Now I know what you might be thinking. Volunteering? That's just giving away your time, right? But listen closely, because it's so much more than that. Volunteering after 60 is about rediscovering who you are beneath the quiet. It's about reigniting a spark you thought had burned out long ago. It's about stepping into a version of yourself you didn't even know was waiting. A version that is still vital, still needed, still brimming with gifts to give. And today, I want to show you exactly how it can change your life. Section 1. The weight of quiet mornings. Let's be honest with each other for a moment. Nobody really talks about this part of life, do they? The part that comes after the big milestones, the raising of kids, the decades of working, the endless to-do lists. The part where you wake up and, for the first time in what feels like forever, there isn't anything urgent pulling you out of bed. On the surface, that sounds like freedom. Isn't that what we all said we wanted when we were younger? To finally have time. To finally slow down. To finally put our feet up and breathe. But here's the quiet truth. Freedom without purpose doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like drifting. You know that feeling? You pour your morning coffee, sit down at the table, and realize you have nowhere you have to be. There's no meeting, no soccer game, no project deadline, no little voice calling, "Mom, Dad, can you help me with this?" It's just you, the coffee, and the ticking of the clock on the wall. And sometimes, that ticking feels louder than it should. Because behind that sound is another whisper. What am I supposed to do with myself now? Section 2. Volunteering as a secret door. I want you to imagine something with me. Picture yourself standing in a long hallway. Behind you there are many doors. Doors you've already walked through, lived through, closed behind you. The door marked career, with all its long hours, deadlines, and paychecks. The door marked parenthood, filled with noise, love, and sleepless nights. The door marked youth, with its energy, ambitions, and first experiences. And now, as you look ahead, it feels like the hallway just ends. A blank wall in front of you. You might even think, well, that's it. I've walked through all the important doors. There's nothing left to open. But here's the secret most people never realize. There is another door. It's small, subtle, tucked into the corner where you almost don't notice it, and on the surface it doesn't look like much. The sign above it might just say, volunteering, but if you reach out, turn the knob, and step inside, you discover something breathtaking. Because suddenly you realize that the hallway doesn't end here. That little door opens into an entirely new room, flooded with light, buzzing with laughter, brimming with possibility. And inside that room are people waiting, not just for someone, but for you. That's what volunteering feels like. It's not just about giving your time. It's about stumbling into a whole new chapter of life you didn't know was available. A secret door into connection, purpose, joy, and energy you thought had slipped away forever. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was 67 when I met her, retired for 5 years. Her days had fallen into a pattern. Wake up, drink her coffee, read the news, maybe run errands, watch some TV, go to bed. Safe, predictable, but lonely. She once told me, "I feel like my brain is gathering dust." One afternoon she passed by a flyer at the library. Volunteers needed for literacy tutoring. At first she laughed to herself. Who would want me? I haven't taught in years. Kids have tablets now. I wouldn't know the first thing about helping them. She almost threw the flyer away. But something, maybe boredom, maybe curiosity, maybe a whisper of hope, made her show up anyway. And there she was, sitting across from a 10-year-old boy who struggled to read. His eyes darted nervously over the page, stumbling on words. Margaret leaned in, her voice steady and kind, guiding him through line after line. And then, it happened. He got through a whole page, slowly, haltingly, but he did it, and his face lit up like a sunrise. Margaret told me she felt tears spring to her eyes right there in the library. She hadn't expected that. She thought she was just there to help him. But in that moment, she realized something deeper. She had just walked through a new door, one that made her feel needed again, alive again. That's the magic of volunteering. It doesn't erase the years behind you. It gathers them up, every skill, every lesson, every ounce of patience and wisdom you've collected, and pours them into something new, something meaningful. You see, the hallway you thought had ended, it hasn't ended at all. Volunteering reveals that the path continues, that life still has fresh rooms to explore, new walls to paint, new music to fill the air, and all you have to do is turn the knob. It's not that you don't appreciate the rest. You've earned it 1,000 times over. But there's a difference between resting and being at rest all the time. Rest feels good when it's a pause. But when the pause becomes permanent, it starts to feel like something else. Stagnation. Emptiness. Think about it. For so many years, you were someone people needed. The parent who kept the household moving, the worker who showed up every day to keep the wheels turning, the neighbor who baked extra bread, who picked up mail, who lent a hand. Your days had shape, direction, and meaning. And then, suddenly, the shape vanished. The kids grew up. The office stopped calling. The neighbors moved or got busy with their own lives. And you found yourself with a calendar that used to feel cramped and crowded but now stretches open, wide and blank. No one prepares you for that silence. It creeps in quietly. At first you might enjoy it, sleeping in a little later, having long mornings with no rush. But then, after a while, it starts to feel heavier. The days blur together. You catch yourself asking what day it even is, because they've all started to look the same. And here's the part that stings the most. Sometimes you feel invisible. Not just to strangers on the street, but even to the people you love. The world seems to have moved on, humming with energy, while you stand still. Her mindset is a masterclass in discipline and self-compassion. She doesn't measure herself against anyone else. She doesn't chase applause or admiration. She measures herself by her own commitment, her own consistency, her own ability to rise, even when the body feels heavy, even when the mind doubts. Think about that for a moment. How often do we let our minds dictate our limits? How often do we stop ourselves before we even try? Whispering excuses like "I can't, I'm too old," or "it's too late." Dorothy's secret isn't some mystical superhuman ability. It's a choice to confront those doubts with action, to meet fear, hesitation, and societal expectation with movement, intention, and unwavering self-respect. And there's a deeper lesson here, one that stretches far beyond push-ups. Dorothy's philosophy can apply to any challenge, physical, emotional, or mental. It's the idea that vitality is not a gift reserved for youth. It's not measured by age, by comparison, or by what society deems appropriate. Vitality is cultivated, nurtured, and defended by the choices we make each day. Dorothy's mind and body work in harmony. The push-ups strengthen more than her arms and core. They strengthen her belief in herself, her ability to face discomfort, and her determination to keep moving forward despite what anyone, or any number, might say about what's possible at 92. Her message is clear. Strength is not defined by the outside world. It is defined by the courage to keep showing up, the discipline to honor your body, and the will to refuse to let fear, doubt, or age dictate your story. And as you watch her, you start to realize something incredible. This isn't just about push-ups. It's about reclaiming control over your life, over your choices, over your story. Dorothy is proof that when the mind and body align with purpose, the possibilities are limitless, no matter your age. Section 4. The Transformative Power. How 200 push-ups shape more than the body. It's easy to look at Dorothy and see only the physical feat, the strength in her arms, the endurance in her core. But the real transformation goes far beyond the mirror. It's subtle, profound, and deeply human. Every push-up she completes does something more than build muscle. It builds resilience. It builds confidence. It builds a quiet but unshakable joy in simply showing up for herself. She moves her body, yes, but she also moves her mind, her spirit, and her sense of possibility. Consider how many of us go through life waiting for the right moment to start something, an exercise routine, a new hobby, a dream we've postponed. We wait until tomorrow, until the pain goes away, until the circumstances are perfect. Dorothy doesn't wait, she acts. She doesn't let excuses or fear dictate her story. In doing so, she reminds us that transformation isn't a distant goal. It's a series of small, committed actions taken day after day, and the effects ripple through every part of her life. Her energy in the morning isn't just physical, it's mental. Her clarity of thought, her ability to tackle challenges, even her interactions with friends and family are all sharpened by the discipline and focus she cultivates through her daily practice. There's a vibrancy to her being, a lightness that comes not from youth but from purpose, consistency, and self-respect. Dorothy's 200 push-ups are also a lesson in humility and self-awareness. She doesn't perform them to prove anything to the world. She performs them to honor herself, to remind herself that her body, though aged, worn, and weathered, is still capable of extraordinary feats. And in honoring her own potential, she inspires everyone around her to reconsider what is possible in their own lives. The benefits extend beyond the personal. Dorothy's dedication becomes contagious. Family members, friends, even strangers witness her commitment and are quietly challenged to reflect on their own lives. What limits have we accepted? What fears have held us back? Dorothy's daily ritual is a reminder that we each hold the power to redefine what's possible, no matter our age, no matter our past, and no matter the doubts that linger in our minds. And here's the truth. Transformation like this doesn't happen overnight. It's not dramatic or flashy. It's gradual, patient, and deeply rooted in consistency. Every single push-up is a step toward reclaiming vitality, confidence, and purpose. Every repetition is a quiet affirmation. I am capable. I am strong. I am alive. Watching Dorothy, you begin to understand that the story of aging doesn't have to be about decline. It can be about reclamation, reinvention, and rediscovery. She proves that the body and mind can continue to grow, strengthen, and flourish, even well into your 90s. And as you sit with that thought, you realize it applies to you too. You may not be doing 200 push-ups tomorrow or ever, but the principle remains the same. Showing up consistently, challenging yourself, and embracing the process transforms more than your body. It transforms your confidence, your self-image, your sense of possibility, and ultimately, the way you live each day. Dorothy's story isn't just inspiring, it's a blueprint, a reminder that age is not the enemy, fear is not the boss, and every small action taken with intention can create profound, lasting change. Section 5. Persistence and the power of daily commitment. There's a quiet magic in persistence. Dorothy didn't wake up one morning at 92 and suddenly decide to do 200 push-ups. It took years, decades even, of cultivating the habit of showing up for herself, of honoring her body, and of refusing to let excuses dictate her life. Her story reminds us that extraordinary feats are rarely sudden. They are the sum of countless, small, consistent actions. Think about the obstacles Dorothy faces every day. Some days her joints ache, her energy dips, her body protests with every movement. Some mornings, the world seems heavier, and it would be easy, so very easy, to skip a session, to tell herself, I'll start tomorrow. But she doesn't. She moves anyway. She reminds herself that persistence isn't about perfection, it's about commitment, even when the world whispers, you're too old, you're too tired, you can't. And here's what's profound. Persistence reshapes more than the body. It reshapes the mind. Each day she shows up, she strengthens her self-discipline, her focus, and her belief in what she's capable of achieving. The act of showing up becomes a meditation, a reaffirmation of self-worth, and a declaration that life is not over. It's evolving, growing, and full of possibility. Consider this analogy. Life is a mountain, and each push-up is a deliberate step upward. One push-up alone doesn't change the view, doesn't reach the summit, doesn't make the climb effortless, but hundreds, repeated daily, slowly lift you higher, revealing vistas you once thought were unreachable. Dorothy's 200 push-ups are her steps, her deliberate climbs toward vitality, strength, and self-mastery. And every day she teaches us that it's never too late to start your ascent. Persistence also teaches patience. Dorothy doesn't demand immediate results, and she doesn't compare herself to others. She understands that transformation, physical, mental, or emotional, is a marathon, not a sprint. And in that patience, she uncovers a profound joy, the satisfaction of seeing progress not in sudden leaps, but in small, tangible improvements that accumulate over time. There's also an emotional depth in her commitment. Each push-up carries more than muscle. It carries hope, defiance, and a celebration of life itself. It's her way of saying to herself and the world, I am here. I am capable. I am living fully each and every day. And in that declaration, she invites everyone watching to reflect. What is your push-up? What small, consistent action could you commit to today that might transform your life tomorrow? Persistence, as Dorothy demonstrates, is about honoring yourself, defying societal expectations, and refusing to let age or fear dictate your limits. It's a radical act of self-love. Every repetition reinforces not only the body, but also the belief that your life, at any age, can be full of purpose, energy, and vitality. And that's the real lesson. Greatness is rarely about the grand gesture. It's about showing up consistently, day after day, choosing courage over comfort, movement over inertia, and belief over doubt. Dorothy didn't just build a strong body, she built a strong life. Section 6. Lessons for every age, applying. Dorothy's wisdom to your life. Dorothy's 200 push-ups are more than a testament to physical strength. They are a roadmap for living a life of purpose, vitality, and courage at any age. And the beauty of her story is that the principles she embodies aren't reserved for 92-year-olds. They can be applied to your life, right here, right now. The first lesson is showing up consistently. You don't need to perform 200 push-ups to transform your life. You simply need to commit to showing up for yourself each day, in whatever way your body, mind, and heart need. A walk, a stretch, a phone call to a loved one, journaling, or learning a new skill. Every small action compounds over time. Dorothy's life reminds us that consistency is the bridge between dreams and reality, between intention and accomplishment. The second lesson is embracing discomfort as a teacher. Every push-up Dorothy does challenges her muscles, her joints, and her mind. And yet, she leans into that challenge, recognizing that growth comes not from comfort, but from resistance. In life, discomfort is inevitable. Physical aging, personal setbacks, or emotional struggles. Dorothy shows us that leaning into discomfort, rather than avoiding it, is the pathway to resilience and empowerment. The third lesson is defying societal expectations. Dorothy lives in a world that often tells older adults to slow down, to take it easy, to step back. She refuses to accept those limits, instead showing that age is not a cage, it's a context. Our society may set expectations about what's appropriate for our stage of life, but Dorothy's story reminds us that the only limits that truly matter are the ones we accept ourselves. The fourth lesson is honoring the body as a lifelong companion. Dorothy treats her body with respect, care, and intention. Every push-up is an act of gratitude and acknowledgement that her body carries her story, her experiences, and her potential. When we honor our bodies, through movement, nourishment, rest, and mindfulness, we cultivate a foundation for vitality, confidence, and longevity. And finally, the fifth lesson is the power of mindset. Dorothy's strength is not just in her muscles, it is in her mind. She believes in possibility, consistency, and her own agency. She views challenges not as roadblocks, but as invitations to grow. This mindset transforms not only her body, but her life. And it can transform yours too. Imagine what could happen if you embrace just one of these principles today. Imagine if you committed to a small, consistent action, leaned into a challenge, or refused to accept the limits society has placed on you. Dorothy's story is proof that extraordinary outcomes are possible at any stage of life. Not through luck, not through talent alone, but through intention, discipline, and belief in yourself. Her journey teaches us that aging doesn't mean slowing down. It can mean rising to new heights. It reminds us that life is not about what we have lost, but about what we are still capable of achieving. Every day is an opportunity to reclaim strength, joy, and purpose. And here's the most beautiful truth. Dorothy's story isn't unique because of her age. It's unique because of her courage, her commitment, and her refusal to accept limits. Those qualities exist in every one of us. They just need to be awakened, nurtured, and acted upon. As you reflect on Dorothy's life, consider this your invitation. What is your push-up? What small, deliberate, daily action could you take today that would honor your body, mind, and spirit? Because in those small acts of persistence, courage, and consistency lies the extraordinary potential to transform not just your body, but your entire life. Conclusion: the legacy of strength and the invitation to act as. We sit with Dorothy's story, something becomes clear. What she has achieved is not just about push-ups. It's about a mindset, a commitment, and a way of seeing life that refuses to be limited by age, fear, or doubt. Her story whispers to us in a language that transcends numbers and repetitions. It speaks to the part of us that longs to feel alive, capable, and seen, no matter how many birthdays have passed. Perhaps you felt the creeping fear of aging, the quiet ache of, what if my best years are behind me? Dorothy's life is a living rebuttal to that fear. It shows us that vitality is not about youth. It's about presence, persistence, and the willingness to act. Each push-up, each small step she takes, carries a profound lesson. Life is never over. It is always unfolding, always offering new ways to grow, to challenge, and to celebrate ourselves. And the lessons don't stop with her. They extend to you. You don't have to lift 200 push-ups a day to experience the transformation Dorothy has discovered. The principles are yours to adopt. Show up consistently, embrace discomfort, honor your body, defy limits, and nurture a mindset that sees possibility where others see decline. In doing so, you can reclaim energy, confidence, and purpose at any age. There's also a deeper, quieter gift in stories like Dorothy's. The wisdom of those who have lived long, who have faced challenges, and who continue to rise. By listening, learning, and connecting with these elders, we gain insight into what truly matters: discipline, courage, gratitude, and resilience. These are the echoes of elderly wisdom, calling to us, guiding us to a life richer than we imagined. So, here's my invitation to you. Let Dorothy's story inspire your own. Let it spark a commitment to action, no matter how small. And if you want to continue hearing these stories of strength, resilience, and the power of living fully, join our community by subscribing to Echoes of Elderly Wisdom. Together, we can learn from those who have walked the path before us, gather their insights, and apply them to our own journey, creating lives filled with vitality, purpose, and meaning. Remember, age is not the limit, fear is not the master, and your potential is far greater than you realize. Dorothy's story is living proof, and it's just the beginning. Subscribe today and let the echoes of elderly wisdom guide you to your own extraordinary life. Because the time to start living fully is not tomorrow, it's now. It's not that anyone has forgotten you, it's that your role has shifted, quietly, without ceremony. And when you look in the mirror, you see someone who once held the weight of so many responsibilities, now holding nothing. And that's when the dangerous thought sneaks in, the one most people never admit out loud. Maybe I don't matter as much anymore, but I want you to hear me clearly, because this is important. That thought, that heavy, painful thought, It isn't the truth. The truth is that you still matter. You matter deeply. It's just that the world no longer hands you purpose in the same way it once did. You have to reach for it now. You have to decide intentionally to step back into a life of meaning, and that's exactly what volunteering offers. It isn't just about filling empty hours, it's about filling the empty spaces in your heart. It's about reminding yourself and the world that you still have so much to give, so much to share, so much to become. Because even now, especially now, you are still needed. Section 3. The gift of purpose. It's a small word, just 7 letters, but it holds the weight of a life. Without it, even the most comfortable life can feel strangely hollow. With it, even hardship becomes bearable, even joyful. Here's the truth many people discover after 60. You can have a house, food, health, and time. But if you don't have purpose, something inside feels unfinished, because purpose is like oxygen for the soul. You can survive without it for a while, but slowly, without you even realizing it, you start to feel like you're suffocating. Think back for a moment. When you were raising children, or working full-time, or caring for aging parents, what kept you going even when you were tired? It wasn't the paycheck, or the endless chores, or the errands. It was knowing that someone needed you, that your presence mattered, that if you didn't show up, something important wouldn't get done. And now, what about today? Do you still feel that? Or has that sense of being essential quietly slipped away? If you felt that emptiness, the nagging sense that your days don't quite add up to something meaningful anymore, you're not broken, you're human. Purpose isn't a luxury, it's a necessity, and volunteering is one of the most powerful ways to get it back. When you volunteer, you aren't just filling time, you're filling lives. You become the difference between an empty stomach and a warm meal, between a struggling child and a confident reader, between someone's loneliness and someone's joy. Let me tell you about James. James was 71 when his wife passed away. For months, he wandered his house like a ghost. He went through the motions, meals, TV, sleep, but he admitted, "I felt like I was already gone, just waiting for my body to catch up." One day, his daughter begged him to join her at a local animal shelter. "Just come once," she said. Reluctantly, he went. He found himself surrounded by barking dogs, wagging tails, mewing kittens, and for the first time in months, he smiled. James started going back every week, feeding, walking, cleaning cages. At first, he thought he was simply keeping busy, but soon he realized those animals needed him, and not just in a practical way, they responded to him. The dogs wagged harder when he arrived. The shy cats leaned against his hand, and with every tail wag, every purr, every grateful lick, James felt something he thought he'd lost forever. He felt alive. That's what purpose does. It doesn't just fill your schedule, it fills your spirit. It turns empty mornings into meaningful ones. It transforms, "What am I even doing here?" into, "This is why I'm here." Because at its heart, volunteering is a mirror. You give your time, your love, your effort, and what it reflects back is your own worth. The reminder that your life is still deeply, profoundly valuable. Purpose isn't about grand achievements. It's not about building monuments or writing your name in history books. Purpose is about showing up where you're needed. And when you do, you'll find that quiet voice inside of you whispering again, "You matter. You still matter." And that whisper, it's worth more than gold. Section 4. Volunteering as medicine, without pills. When we think about health after 60, the first things that come to mind are usually physical. The ache in your knees when you climb the stairs, the pills lined up, neatly in the kitchen cabinet, the regular visits to doctors who measure, scan, and test. But here's something we rarely acknowledge. Health isn't just physical. It's emotional, it's spiritual, it's invisible. And sometimes the most powerful medicine doesn't come in a bottle. It comes from what you give away. Volunteering is one of those rare medicines. Scientists have been studying this for years, and the results are astonishing. People who volunteer regularly show lower levels of stress, stronger immune systems, and even longer lifespans. Volunteering has been linked to lower blood pressure, reduced risk of depression, sharper memory, and a greater sense of vitality. But you don't need a scientific journal to tell you this. You can feel it. Because here's what happens inside. Your body when you give. Your brain lights up. Literally. Acts of kindness trigger the release of endorphins, the same chemicals that flood your system when you laugh or fall in love. Psychologists call it the helper's high. At the same time, volunteering lowers cortisol, the stress hormone that quietly wears down your body over time. In other words, giving doesn't just feel good. It is good for you, in the most literal sense. Think of it like this. You could take a pill that lowers your blood pressure by a few points. Or you could spend a morning serving food at a shelter, laughing with strangers, trading stories, and walk away with the same benefit. Only this time, your heart is lighter too. I remember a man named Victor, 68 years old, who told me about his experience volunteering at a community garden. Before he started, he was struggling with mild depression, high blood pressure, and an overwhelming sense of fatigue. I just felt tired all the time, he admitted. Tired in my bones, tired in my spirit. At first, the garden seemed like work, digging, planting, hauling water. But something happened. His body grew stronger, yes, but more than that. His energy came back. The fresh air, the laughter of the volunteers, the joy of watching something grow under his care. It transformed him. 6 months later, at his routine doctor's visit, his blood pressure had dropped significantly. His doctor asked, "What changed?" Victor smiled and said, "I stopped sitting around waiting to get old. I started planting instead." That's the thing about volunteering. It is movement, it is connection, it is purpose, and all of these are medicines the body craves. Because let's face it, loneliness, aimlessness, and isolation are poisons. They slowly corrode your health. They eat away at your energy. They whisper you into stillness. But volunteering, it's the antidote. It wakes up your body. It stretches your mind. It softens your heart. It reminds you that you're not done, yet not by a long shot. So yes, take the pills your doctor prescribes. But don't forget this other prescription too. Give. Because giving isn't just about helping others, it's about healing yourself. Volunteering, quite simply, is medicine without pills. Section 5. Friendships and belonging. Loneliness has a strange way of creeping in. It doesn't always arrive with a bang. Often, it slips into the quiet corners of your life, nestling in the empty mornings, the silent phones, the evenings when you realize you haven't laughed with anyone in days. You might even catch yourself thinking, maybe this is just how life is now. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to be. Volunteering doesn't just fill time. It fills spaces in your heart you may have forgotten existed. It's not just about doing something for someone else. It's about opening a doorway to connection, friendship, and belonging. Imagine you're at a local food bank for the first time. You're nervous, unsure, maybe even questioning if you'll fit in. Then, someone smiles at you, offers a hand, shares a story. That simple interaction is a spark, then another, then another. Before long, you're not just helping. You're laughing, talking, sharing your life, listening to theirs. That's how communities are built. Not with grand gestures, but with small, meaningful acts of connection. Take Clara, for example. She was 65, newly retired, and had recently moved to a new town where she knew almost no one. At first, she thought volunteering at the local library would simply occupy her days. But she soon found herself sharing coffee breaks with fellow volunteers, exchanging recipes, stories, and memories. One day, A group of them started a small book club. Clara's quiet days transformed into laughter-filled evenings and lively conversations. "I never realized how lonely I'd been," she admitted. "I thought I was fine on my own. But it turns out my heart was craving people, real people, not just acquaintances. And volunteering gave me that." Belonging works like sunlight on plants. Even the smallest ray nurtures growth. And when you're volunteering, you are both the plant and the sunlight. You receive connection, yes, but you also give it. You create a network of warmth and understanding that grows with every conversation, every shared task, every small act of kindness. It's the laughter in the kitchen while serving meals, the stories swapped while sorting books, the quiet nods of understanding when someone else gets what you're feeling. Those moments, small, fleeting, but profoundly human, are what transform volunteering from something to do into a lifeline. Because we all crave belonging. It's not just a luxury, it's a need. And volunteering doesn't just scratch that itch, it fills it in ways you may have never imagined. So if you've ever felt invisible, overlooked, or disconnected, volunteering is your invitation back into the circle. It's a reminder that you matter, that your presence is valued, that you are part of a story bigger than yourself. And here's the beautiful part. When you give your time, your care, your attention, the friendship and belonging you create comes back to you tenfold. Loneliness may visit, yes, but it doesn't get to move in. Volunteering builds walls of community, windows of connection, and doors you can open every single day to people who see you, appreciate you, and want you around. Section 6. Rediscovering joy and passion joy. It's a word we often associate with youth. The thrill of a first bicycle ride, the laughter that comes before bedtime, the careless abandon of a day spent exploring without a schedule. But what happens to joy as we age? Somewhere between responsibilities, retirements, and routine, joy can become quiet, almost shy. It hides behind appointments, bills, and the endless shoulds of life. You might catch yourself thinking, maybe I've already had my share of fun. Maybe I should be grateful just to be okay. But here's the secret. Joy doesn't expire. It doesn't have a use-by date, and passion doesn't vanish. It just waits for you to notice it again. Volunteering has a remarkable way of reminding you of this truth. When you engage with something bigger than yourself, when you step into a world of giving, you open doors to moments of pure, unfiltered delight. You remember the thrill of helping someone learn to read for the first time, the exhilaration of planting a garden that will bloom long after you leave, the quiet satisfaction of seeing a smile because of something you did. Let me tell you about Marlene, a 72-year-old retired nurse. After retiring, she found herself wandering her days in a fog of routine. She volunteered at a local senior center, simply hoping to keep busy. But then, something magical happened. She started organizing. Weekly art classes, watching people paint, laugh, and create, awoke something in her that had been dormant for decades. "I didn't just teach painting," Marlene said. "I remembered how to live. I remembered how to get excited, how to dream, how to be proud of something I made." Joy often arrives unexpectedly, like a bird landing on your windowsill. It doesn't demand anything. It just asks you to notice it. And volunteering creates those windows. It opens spaces for laughter, creativity, and connection that you may have thought belonged only to younger days. Passion, too, finds its way back into your life through volunteering. Maybe it's a passion for storytelling, for mentoring, for music, for gardening, or for problem solving. The beautiful thing is, it doesn't matter what form it takes. What matters is that you allow yourself to feel it again. Imagine painting a mural with local kids, laughing until your cheeks hurt. Imagine teaching someone to knit and feeling the warmth of their gratitude wrap around you. Imagine leading a community cleanup and watching a space transform under your care. That's joy. That's passion. That's life flowing through you. in ways that money, comfort, or routine alone can never create. Here's the truth. Volunteering doesn't just fill your calendar. It fills your heart. It reminds you that you are capable, vibrant, and alive. It reconnects you with the thrill of making a difference and the sweetness of discovery. So if you've been waiting for a reason to feel alive again, here it is. Step forward. Engage, give, laugh, create. The joy and passion that may have seemed like distant memories are not lost. They are waiting for you to rediscover them, one act of kindness at a time. Because the truth is simple, life after 60 can still be thrilling, colorful, and full of wonder. Volunteering doesn't just add days to your life, it adds life to your days. Section 7. Leaving a legacy. It's a word that can feel heavy, even intimidating. We often think of it as something grand, a house, a business, a fortune. But legacy doesn't have to be monumental. In fact, the most profound legacies are rarely measured in wealth. They are measured in the hearts we touch, the lives we change, and the memories we leave behind. After 60, many of us start asking quietly, almost hesitantly, what will I leave behind? What difference did I really make? Volunteering answers that question in ways more profound than we might imagine. Every hour you give, every smile you share, every moment of guidance or support is a thread woven into a tapestry far larger than yourself. It's a legacy that can't be erased because it lives in the people you've helped, in the communities you've strengthened, and in the ripple effect of kindness that extends far beyond what you can see. Think about Mr. Patel, a retired engineer in his 70s. He began volunteering at a local youth mentorship program, simply offering advice and encouragement. At first, he thought it was small, maybe even insignificant. But years later, several of those young people came back to him, now adults, holding steady jobs, leading projects, even starting their own families. They told him, "You made us believe we could." That's the quiet power of legacy. It doesn't need a plaque or a headline. It's the echo of your actions in the lives of others. It's the values, hope, and courage you pass on without even trying to. Volunteering gives you the chance to craft that legacy intentionally, to show that your life, no matter its stage, has purpose, that the knowledge you've accumulated, the empathy you've honed, and the love you've carried can all become gifts to others. And here's the beauty. Creating a legacy doesn't just benefit the world, it changes you. Knowing that your life matters, that your actions ripple outward, can instill a profound sense of fulfillment, peace, and joy. You see yourself not as fading into the background, but as actively shaping the world around you. Imagine walking through a park you helped plant, seeing children laughing among flowers you nurtured. Imagine a young person succeeding because you took the time to guide them. Imagine a simple smile, a shared laugh, a moment of understanding that stays with someone for a lifetime. These are the legacies that truly matter. When you volunteer after 60, you are telling the world and yourself that you still have something to give. You are saying, my life matters, my experiences, my wisdom, my time. They can change lives. And isn't that a comforting thought? That long after we are gone, part of us continues to live, quietly, in the hearts of those we've touched. Volunteering doesn't just fill days or combat loneliness. It transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary impact. It turns the question, what will I leave behind, into an answer written in smiles, in hope, in human connection. Your legacy isn't waiting in some distant future. It begins the moment you step forward and give. And the truth is, it's never too late. Section 8. Practical steps to start volunteering. Taking that first step can feel daunting. I know you might be thinking, where do I even begin? What if I don't fit in? What if I fail? These thoughts are normal. They're part of the human experience, especially when stepping into something new later in life. But here's the thing. Every single volunteer, every person who's transformed their life by giving, started exactly where you are right now, with a question, a hesitation, and a small, uncertain step. The journey to meaningful volunteering doesn't have to be complicated. It can start as simply as listening to that quiet nudge in your heart, the one that whispers, "I want to matter. I want to connect. I want to give." Here's a step-by-step guide to help you transform that whisper into action. Reflect on what moves you. Take a quiet moment to consider your passions, skills, and values. Do you love working with children, the elderly, animals, or the environment? Are you passionate about storytelling, music, or cooking? Your life experience is a treasure chest of skills that can create enormous impact. Ask yourself, where can I contribute and feel alive while doing it? Start small. You don't need to commit to a massive project or an overwhelming schedule. Begin with a small, manageable volunteer opportunity, maybe an hour a week at a local library, hospital, or community center. Small steps build confidence, establish routine, and open doors to deeper involvement. Seek community resources. Many towns and cities have volunteer centers, senior associations, and nonprofit organizations specifically designed to match volunteers with opportunities. Don't hesitate to ask about programs tailored to your age, skills, or interests. Remember, it's their job to guide you, and it's your right to find a place that feels comfortable and meaningful. Connect with others. Reach out to people already volunteering in your chosen area. Ask them about their experiences, what challenges they faced, and what joys they discovered. Listening to their stories can help you envision your own path and ease any anxiety about fitting in. Embrace learning. Even if you've done something similar before, every organization is different. Approach each opportunity with curiosity and openness. Mistakes are natural. They're not failures, they're lessons. Each step, each interaction, deepens your understanding and connection. Reflect and adjust. After your first few experiences, take time to reflect. Ask yourself, does this feel meaningful? Am I making connections? Am I experiencing joy and fulfillment? Don't be afraid to try something else if it doesn't resonate. Volunteering is about finding the right fit for you, not about ticking boxes. 7. Celebrate your impact. Even small contributions matter. Each hour you give, each smile you share, each hand you hold has ripple effects far beyond what you can see. Take pride in your actions. They are transforming lives, including your own. Let's remember that starting doesn't require perfection, courage in abundance, or a complete plan. It only requires one thing: the willingness to show up, the willingness to care, the willingness to say, "I am ready to step into life again." Imagine walking into a local community garden for the first time. You're nervous, unsure of what to do. Then, someone welcomes you with a smile. They hand you a trowel, ask about your interests, and before long, you're laughing as you plant seeds that will grow, flourish, and feed your neighbors. That first step, the one that felt so small, is the start of something much larger, something life-changing, something that matters. Because the truth is this: volunteering isn't just an activity, it's a pathway back to purpose, connection, joy, and legacy. And it all begins the moment you decide to take that first step. Section 9. Overcoming fears and hesitations. Fear is a quiet companion. It creeps into the corners of our minds, often disguised as practicality, self-doubt, or caution. You might catch yourself thinking, "I'm too old for this. I won't fit in. I don't have the energy or skills to make a difference. What if I fail or embarrass myself?" If any of these thoughts sound familiar, know this: you are not alone. Every person who has taken the leap into volunteering has faced them. And the truth is, those fears, while very real, are not barriers. They are signs that something meaningful awaits on the other side. Let's explore these fears, one by one, and see how volunteering gently dissolves them. Fear of age or physical limitations. It's common to assume that age or physical constraints make volunteering impossible. But volunteering is not about performing feats of strength. It's about giving what you can give. A smile, a kind word, a story, a hand to hold, your wisdom, your patience. All of these are invaluable. Take Jean, a 75-year-old retiree who thought she was too old to help at a community kitchen. Within weeks, she discovered that her warmth and organization skills were exactly what the staff needed. Her presence didn't just help the kitchen, it uplifted everyone in it. Fear of rejection or not belonging. Walking into a new environment can feel intimidating. You might worry that people won't accept you, that you'll be too different, or that you won't fit in. But here's the truth. Volunteering spaces thrive on diversity of age, experience, and perspective. The very life experiences you bring are often exactly what the organization needs. And more often than not, people are welcoming because they, too, want connection, purpose, and shared human moments. Fear of making mistakes. What if I do something wrong? What if I can't handle it? Fear of imperfection is natural, but volunteering is not about perfection. It's about effort, intention, and presence. Every act, even if imperfect, creates impact. And every mistake is a lesson, not a failure. Remember, you are valued not for flawless execution, but for showing up, caring, and giving your time. Fear of change. Sometimes, the hesitation comes not from fear of the unknown, but from fear of leaving the familiar behind. Routine can feel safe, even if it's lonely or unfulfilling. Volunteering requires stepping into something new, and that can feel risky. But every person who has taken that step reports a common truth. The discomfort of change is far outweighed by the joy, connection, and purpose that follow. Here's the secret. Fear is not your enemy. It's a compass. It points to the edges of growth, the place where transformation begins. When you notice that fear, when you feel that hesitation, take it as a signal that something meaningful is waiting for you on the other side. And the most powerful tool against fear: action. Small intentional steps dissolve doubt. A phone call to a local volunteer center, a visit to a community garden, a single hour spent with a child, a pet, or a neighbor. Each step strengthens confidence, diminishes fear, and proves, beyond doubt, that you are capable, valued, and needed. Remember this: the courage to volunteer is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. And every person you help, every connection you make, every life you touch will remind you that your bravery was worth it. So if fear is whispering in your ear right now, listen closely. But then, take one small step anyway. Because beyond that, fear is a life rich with meaning, purpose, and joy. A life you are more than ready to embrace. Section 10. The transformative power of connection, expanded and deeper. Loneliness is a quiet companion that many of us know too. Well, it doesn't always arrive with dramatic fanfare. Often it slips in slowly, between the silences of empty rooms, the unanswered phone calls, the days that blend into each other with nothing pressing, nothing urgent, nothing alive. You might feel it creeping in, whispering, "You're not needed anymore. No one truly notices you." But here's the truth. Loneliness is not permanent. Connection is. And volunteering is one of the most profound ways to rebuild it. Connection isn't just about being around people. It's about being seen, heard, and valued. It's about feeling that your presence makes a difference, that your laughter matters, that your experience and wisdom are appreciated. Every volunteer opportunity is a doorway to this kind of connection. Take Maria, a retired nurse in her late 60s. After retirement, her days were quiet, and she often felt invisible. She started volunteering at a local senior center, leading small art workshops. At first, she worried she wouldn't relate to the other volunteers or the participants. But soon, she found herself laughing with colleagues, mentoring younger volunteers, and forming friendships that filled her days with warmth and meaning. One evening, A participant hugged her and said, "You've made this place feel like home." Maria realized that through volunteering, she had not only helped others, she had rekindled her own sense of belonging. Volunteering allows you to create intergenerational bridges too. It's a space where young and old can meet, share stories, and learn from one another. Your decades of experience, your life lessons, your unique perspective, they become treasures for those just starting their journey, and their energy, curiosity, and hope can spark joy in ways you might have forgotten existed. There's also a subtle, almost magical effect that volunteering has on human connection. It opens the heart. When you step into someone else's world with empathy, kindness, and willingness to help, you invite reciprocity. You discover that vulnerability is not weakness. It's the pathway to trust, friendship, and understanding. And it's not just about the people you meet. Connection extends to the community itself. Each act of service, every hour you spend helping at a food bank, tutoring a child, planting a garden, makes you part of something larger than yourself. You realize you are woven into the fabric of your town, your neighborhood, your city. You matter. Your presence matters. Your actions ripple outward in ways you may never fully see, but they exist, undeniably, beautifully, powerfully. Even simple gestures carry deep resonance. A smile shared with a lonely senior, a hand held for reassurance, a story told to inspire a child. These moments are connections that transform lives, including your own. Each relationship you build reinforces that you are part of the human tapestry, part of a living, breathing network of care and love. Connection, then, becomes the secret ingredient of purpose. It's what turns volunteering from a simple activity into a life-altering experience. Through these bonds, you reclaim your sense of self, rebuild your confidence, and discover that you are still capable of shaping the world around you. So if you've been waiting for a reason to step forward, let it be this: human connection. The smiles, the laughter, the shared experiences, they are waiting. And when you reach out, even in the smallest way, you discover that the world is not too quiet, your life is not too small, and your heart still has room for joy, purpose, and love. Volunteering doesn't just fill your time, it fills your life. It connects you to others, to your community, and most importantly, to yourself. And in those connections, you find something truly transformative, a reminder that you are needed, valued, and profoundly alive. Conclusion: embracing purpose and leaving a legacy. Take a moment and picture your life. Not the calendar dates or the hours spent, but the moments that truly mattered. The laughter, the hands you held, the smiles you shared, the lives you touched. Now imagine multiplying those moments, not just for yourself, but for others. That is what volunteering offers. You've seen, section by section, how stepping into service after 60 can reignite purpose, rebuild confidence, dissolve fear, and deepen connection. But the most profound transformation isn't in the hours you give. It's in the person you become along the way. The patient listener, the compassionate mentor, the friend who arrives with warmth, the silent hero whose presence changes everything. And here's the most beautiful truth: it's never too late. Your age is not a limitation. It's a badge of experience, a reservoir of wisdom, a source of empathy that younger generations can only hope to learn from. By choosing to volunteer, you're not just giving back. You're creating ripples that will echo far beyond what you can see, touching lives you may never even meet. So, take that first step. Make the phone call. Visit the center. Extend your hand. Laugh, listen, share your story, and allow others to share theirs. In every act of service, you will rediscover a part of yourself that has always been waiting, alive, capable, vibrant, and deeply connected. And if this message resonates with you, if you've felt seen and inspired, I invite you to continue this journey with us. Subscribe to this channel and join a growing circle of elders who are reclaiming purpose, sharing wisdom, and proving that life after 60 can be more vibrant, meaningful, and impactful than ever. Together, we honor our past, enrich our present, and illuminate the future. One act of kindness, one story, one volunteer moment at a time. Remember, your story is not over. In fact, it may just be beginning, and the world is waiting to see it.